what's behind me right now looks kind of creepy. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the least professional channel on YouTube. I'm out at Forest Row Cemetery here in Lancaster, Ohio. And today, I'm looking to get some more statue shots. There's a lot of really great statues out here. And it came to mind, I was thinking about composition while I was framing up this first shot right here with this angel in it. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I've had some trouble with composition and learning it as I've been going along for the first month or so. One of the biggest things for me that I didn't understand at first was how to get a subject for your composition, for your picture. I didn't understand at first how important it was to find something that's going to stand out and that's going to make sense. And then once you found something that you want to take, a subject that you want to capture an image of, it's important to look around, not just at the subject itself, but what's around the subject, what's behind the subject. I remember one of the first photos that I took when I decided to kind of start working on photography was an image of a statue in a cemetery that I thought was an awesome image. And I took it with my phone. It was before I got my Canon. And I was so happy with it. And I got home and I looked at it and I realized, hey, my car's in the background. Now, I'd taken it in portrait mode, so the image came out, the background was all blurred, but you could still tell there was a car there. The importance of paying attention when you're looking at your subject and what's behind the subject as well as around it, and framing it up just right so that there's nothing distracting in the image, the importance of that can't be overstated. You have to really think about it and pay close attention so that you don't accidentally capture something that you didn't mean to catch in the image. So ever since then, I've kind of made it a habit of looking very carefully at what's in the image, making sure I'm only capturing what I want to capture. And even then, there's been a couple of times that I've captured stuff that actually I didn't mean to capture, but actually turned out really well. I've got a picture of a barn that I took while we were on a short road trip a few weeks ago, and didn't even realize it at the time, but there's a bird sitting on a fence post in the foreground, and then there's actually a bird flying just above the barn in the background. It actually helped make the picture look a little bit cooler, I thought. But that's not always the case. Sometimes you wind up with power lines in the background of your image that you didn't mean to capture. You might wind up with a tree coming out of the head of your image. My subject here, the statue, one of the shots that I first set up, and I can probably almost mimic it right here, was a tree in the background that was going right above her head. That didn't look right to me, and I hated everything about that. So I moved the tripod over a couple of feet, and lo and behold, this awesome image came up. Another thing I'm going to do here in just a second is I'm going to capture an image of the statue the way I have it framed right now, and I'll put that up on the screen. And then beside that, I'm going to put up an image where I'm going to put the statue in the middle of the screen as opposed to off to the side. Now, it's kind of personal taste and personal preference for this, but I've found that one of the biggest things that you can do whenever you're framing up a subject is put that subject off to the side just a little bit. You can follow the rule of thirds, which is essentially, and you can actually have it on your camera, most camera, I think even phones you can do it. You can put, it's two vertical and two horizontal lines that split the screen into thirds both ways. And the idea is that you get the subject, or you get something in each of, in like, if you get the subject in the bottom corner, bottom third of the screen like that, get something interesting on the other side of the screen that doesn't take away from the subject, but that accentuates it and highlights the subject a little bit to make it look a little bit more interesting as a composition, as a photograph. So this is a good example of why you should have a good tripod. See my last video. I'll link that up here. This right here, I had to set this tripod up on this hill because the cemetery, yeah, it's built on a hill, bunch of hills actually. So I was looking for the perfect composition for this second angel that I've found here in the cemetery, and I couldn't find one that fit just right. So this is the composition that I currently have. going for the tree in the background. I'm not sure this will be the final one yet. I'll take the final one and chuck it in the video right here. But yeah, I was going for a good composition, something that would make sense, that didn't have any too much clutter in the background, because it's kind of hard where I'm currently at in the cemetery to get one without some clutter in the background. What I wound up doing was coming up the hill here and looking at my shot to kind of get an idea of like, okay, what do I want? Where do I want this thing at? And I found the spot that was a pretty decent shot. But of course it was a climb up the hill. It's not too big a hill right here, but walking all the way up there, I don't know about that, especially because it looks like it could rain at any point. So I have to keep an eye on the weather. But yeah, so there's another tip for you. Make sure you have a tripod that is able to handle hills. Sometimes it takes just leveling it out, and most of them come with a level bubble on them, so you just adjust the feet until you get it as level as you can, set it up. The reason I'm using a tripod today is because the lighting conditions, the light's really low. The wind is off and on. It's not too bad. It's a little gusty at times, so the tree leaves aren't blowing around too awful much, so I can lower the shutter speed down and capture more light so that I don't have to have a high ISO. Because when I first got here, I had it set up to 1/500th of a second for the shutter speed, and the ISO, it was on auto for the ISO, and it was at 3200, and it was blinking that wasn't enough ISO. I have it capped for auto at 3200 ISO just because I don't want to have more than that in most images that I'm taking. So I had to turn the shutter speed down, and in order to do that and still capture sharp images, I needed to put it on the tripod. So I did that, leveled out the tripod, and all of that is because I was trying to find a good composition. And not everything's going to be the perfect composition. You just got to kind of trial and error, test it out, and play around with it as you go. And over time, you'll get better and better at, when you go out places, finding something that's just the right composition, finding something that looks just right for what you want. But it takes a lot of time and practice, so keep practicing, keep all that up, and then we're going to find some more stuff, and we'll be right back. All right, I figured I'd close this video out on a little bit of a cool note. What's behind me right now looks kind of creepy. We're still at the top of the cemetery, or we're actually the top of the cemetery now. So I was saving this for the big reveal. Check that view out. So sometimes when you're driving around, you find awesome views in the least expected places. We're still in the Forest Row Cemetery, obviously, in Lancaster. But yeah, we got a spectacular view. I've already got a shot of downtown Lancaster. I'm going to probably get a couple more shots just because I'm not sure how I want to frame them up yet. But yeah, talking about composure, as well as, you know, framing shots and that kind of stuff, I figured this would be a awesome view to end on, as a more landscape, cityscape type thing, I guess. There's not really, like, you can see a tower down there, but you can't really see much in the way of the city, at least not through this camera. My telephoto lens, however, it can definitely see it. Leave a comment down below and tell me about a time that a picture or a photograph made you feel something, whether it was joy, sadness, and what photograph that was. And then I'm going to start highlighting comments in videos. I've had quite a few comments. Thank you to everybody who has commented. So this comment that I want to highlight here was on the what you should know about photography. I asked the question, what is something you've learned since you started with photography? And the comment that I want to highlight is Reina Pineda. That says some of the most popular subjects in photography in the 1800s were corpses. Which, that's actually kind of neat. I had heard that one before, and the reason why they were corpses was because you most likely did not get your picture taken while you were alive, because the cost was prohibitive. So a lot of people, the only time they would ever get their picture taken was after they passed away. And that leads in perfectly to the cemetery theme of my channel. I want to thank you all for watching. Hit the thumbs up button. Comment down below letting me know when a picture has given you an emotional reaction, joy, sadness, anger, any of that stuff, and what that picture was. And make sure to subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Thanks.